Please watch on a bright screen in 4K quality, preferably on the largest screen you have available for best experience. Remember, you can pause the video to inspect the images. In June 2017, Cordrilla admit to encountering unexpected artesian water. At this time, footage shows a flooded cellar, pooling of water on the pad's surface, and a green colour liquid in the perimeter drain. Many ponds in the area were of similar shade to each other at this time. We fast forward now to when the company connect the well to the main rig between the 16th and 17th of August. I will introduce ponds where issues were spotted as we go. This is a pond we call Teardrop, and this is how it looked on the 16th. It is situated uphill just to the north of the pad. Another pond to mention now is one we call Smiley for obvious reasons. In June 2017 it was round and had a fence surrounding it. By August the shape had changed and the fence had collapsed. On the 17th the well was directly connected with a drilling platform. The first signs of dark water and floating scum could be seen on Teardrop. By contrast, this is what it looked like in May 2017. Much as it did in the year 2000. Real signs for concern came on the 20th of August when in the space of a day a shadow of sediment became froth and a blue tinge. This became more concentrated on the 22nd. West of the pad now we're looking at Fox Pond, which has a similar occurrence on the 22nd. These issues would vary visually from day to day. We noticed the base of the rig had red water pooling. This red sediment started being noticed in other locations, such as this pond directly south of the rig, Pond 12. Downhill to the west of the pad is Hex Pond. This had some red in it on the 26th. Smiley Pond turns colour over the course of the day, with odd occurrences such as foam or persistent bowls at the surface. We look to the east now. 10 metres above the pad in elevation is Footprint Pond. We notice a green colour water and iridescence on the top on the 27th. Slightly further away is Fish Pond. This is only 5 metres higher than the pad. Also on the 27th, iridescence is noted. Closer to the A583 is this seasonal body of water number 29, which is also noted with iridescence on the same day. All three of these issues are just west of Westby Reservoir. Smiley has less froth than the previous days, however it does have some noticeable differences, such as the white patch and this iridescence. Fox Pond sees a return of the scum. Moving on to the 28th, and Teardrop looks calm, though Fox Pond has some shine to it. This issue is downhill to the west of the pad and in a natural water flow. Further down the fields to the northwest, this pond, number 32, has a slight shine. On the next day, the field this pond is in turns red in a patch close to Moss House Lane. An image from a couple of weeks previous shows the issues were not present. Moving back towards the pad now, also on the 29th, we see this patch closer to Carbridge Brook tributary with pooling water, red in the soil, dead vegetation in places. And also this lone mound of soil. On the 30th of August, iridescence of footprint is still present with a green tinge in the water. To the south of the pad next to our pond 12, which had red sediment, is pond 13, which is seen with a red colour now. This is stark contrast to what it looked like in June. Over at Fox Pond there is iridescence visible on this day. And down by Moss House Lane the red patch appears to be spreading. To the north of the pad now, and a pond number 27 on our map has a red tinge to it. Not far from this is pond 21, which has this shine when seen from above. The next day footage from the ground shows a rainbow effect in this iridescence. The homeowner had never witnessed anything like this before, and the pond had been there his whole life. His father made it. This same day is when red was noticed in the middle of the northwest side of the pad. The area had been flowing previously, but never with red sediment. Carbridge Brook runs from east to west along the fields to the north of the pad. It was noticed that this red colour was also in the brook this day. It was not quite so red the previous day. Fish Pond above the site was also showing a red tinge. Footprint was iridescent with a green taint. Smiley's issues had subsided a little, and Fox Pond only had a faint iridescence. The iridescence on Footprint was less as September begins, though the swirling pattern became darker. The iridescence on Pond 21 was still present. This substance floats on the surface and is blown by the wind. There are no jagged edges and it does not shatter when disturbed. Smiley still has swirling sediment both green and red, with some type of scum floating on the top. A patch of standing water just downhill from the pad has a red tinge. In the field to the southwest of the pad, across the A583 and south of Maple Farm, the water sitting on the surface was noted to also be red. On the 2nd of September at Maple Farm, the main drain was filmed with a deep red tinge to it. Our Smiley Pond was a darker shade again. Iridescence was still seen in the downhill water flow from the pad area. The water at the S-bend of the main drain was a darker shade than the previous day. Pond 21 was filmed with the scum on the top of it on the 9th of September. It has been suggested that this correlates with the iridescence that was seen on the 1st. On the 11th, the field that went red, close to the road, was seen with red at another location. Looking out over the main drain to the south towards Balham now, the water in the main drain was red all the way. We spoke to a local farmer who informed us that to his knowledge the main drain only went red twice in the 60 plus years that he has lived here, and that it only happened for a few days at a time. He said it usually happens when someone hits a vein of ochre. Moving on to the 12th and to the northwest of the pad next to the main drain, and on top of the fault line estimate provided by Professor Smythe, we see an area with red-purple sediment. The red issue along Moss House Lane has grown bigger and now has water with iridescence in it. Also in this field is pond 30, which seen here has a light red tinge. Pond 21 looks red now also, though the scum seems to have dissipated. Smiley is dark with some cloudy patches. At Fish Pond, the resident green pond algae has been pushed to one corner. Red clouds of sediment can be seen at the edges. The next day this colour was deeper. The reddish hues on the lower fields were also growing, with more vegetation dying. Over at the S-bend field we see this body of dark water. The hue of the water on the S-bend is also deeper than previously. This is seen in the main drain as well as on the fields. This patch of purple water is close to the larger one to the south of Maple Farm. On the 14th of September we witness a puddle of red water from the base of the rig flowing across the pad. This seasonal water issue appears. Hex Pond is a shade of red now. And the point of red along Moss House Lane has now grown to the length of the field, joining up with the previous issues. The sediment at the fault next to the motorway is darker now. Water in the main drain at the back of Maple Farm was mostly brown this day, except for a slight red tinge in places. Although this was not the case further south. Over in field 35 and just north of the S-bend you can see issues that are potentially from water emanating from the side of the road and heading in the direction of the discoloured water puddles and then the main drain. The water here is a lot deeper in hue than it was to the north of the A583. We are heading a few kilometres south of the pad now, where a confluence from another stream joins with the main drain. As you can see, the red is still seen this far away. This was seen as far south as Lytham Yacht Club. Popping back up to the fish pond and it has become darker again. The issues on footprint have lessened considerably, however this bit of land downhill has gone a dark colour and now has a mound in the middle of it. If we look back at the beginning of September, we can see this mound was not a mound, though it was a damp area. A quick look at the 15th and this red area has turned dark. So has the red area at Moss House Lane. The 16th shows some iridescence in this puddle of water. The fields out by Balham Road are flooded with dark water. Interestingly, this area of dying plants here is bulrushes, and would expect to be seen in water, not above it. This is south-southwest of the pad. Red persists in the main drain on the north of the A583 also. Dark sediment is back in footprint on the 17th. Fox Pond has some also. The pad is much drier, although this tank does appear to have developed a leak, and an iridescent fluid can be seen flowing across the surface. We're going to look at another area now north of the motorway. This is the Wake Park Lake. Flooding is just starting in these fields, and a red sediment can be seen here in places too. This is the lowest point downhill from the pad to the north, and directly on top of a superficial fault line. That means the fault line reaches the surface of the bedrock below. Fish Pond is a lighter shade on the 18th, although the iridescence is back. Footprint is distinctly redder than before. This pond above footprint by 16 metres, pond 41, now has a plume of red suspended matter, which appears to be emanating from one point. Many of the other ponds show signs of similar issues. The red area at Moss House Lane appears to be a deeper hue. The issues on the south side of the A583 are still present. Pond 41 has the red suspended matter still on the 19th, as does Footprint and Smiley. Incidentally, there were still signs of red on the pad. The issues on the south of the A583 are still present, though this spot appears darker and to have more iridescence. The main drain is now red further up towards the motorway. This is the 20th now. We will look at some of these locations we have followed in this video again, and I will allow you to form your own opinions. I will point out that this area where pipes are removed from the rig is also a shade of red. This is the 22nd. For the first time we notice this access cover to the mains pipe from Westby Reservoir is oozing iridescence. We also spot iridescence in the skips on the pad. This has spilled onto the aggregate. This patch of iridescent water is noticed in a field drain close to the red patch on Moss House Lane. This patch of iridescence was noticed just downhill to the west of the pad. Just north of Teardrop, an area of dark water can now be seen with iridescence. We also notice red in the plants on this field to the south of the pad. Field 81 has a wet patch on it, where we will see also has noticeable red and iridescence. This patch of iridescence here is adjacent to the kennels on Moss House Lane. On the 27th, iridescence is the word of the day. This puddle got the nickname Pear Puddle and is located just southwest of the pad. And here you can see Field 81 has red and iridescence in this wet patch. Iridescence can also be seen at the solar farm. Our uphill ponds have red swells again. We will look at the Wake Park area again quickly, where water can be seen pooling in these areas. These are not on the flood maps, so they don't usually have standing water. This is the pattern of water in these images mapped out. For this field, I will allow the sediment staining that can be seen on Google Earth to tell the story. This is what it looked like before it flooded. these hay bales were flooded, it is unlikely a farmer would leave them in a location known to flood. You can see a sediment in this location on Google Earth. On the other side of these trees is an area of red sediment. This also had red anti-iridescence in September. We'll take a look at the lower fields here now. In these locations, the water appears to have a purple hue or a dark sediment at the bottom. Some of these water issues straddle both sides of the main drain. Out to the S-bend now, which is where the main drain flows next after Moss House Lane. And we can see our usual suspects are still suspicious. The confluence towards Lytham is now a purple colour, and this is visible all the way out to the estuary. This continues to St Anne's Beach and subsequently out to the Irish Sea.